A tariff surprise as we move into earnings season. Let's talk about it on the weekly update. Okay, friends, let's talk about when tariffs meet earnings. Here's what you need to know. First up, Trump is playing hardball on tariffs while Q2 earnings season begins. So we're going to talk about two things in this one. We're going to talk about what's happening with tariffs. Pretty interesting there. And then we're going to talk about my expectations for Q2 earnings season, which starts next week. First up, though, let's look at the market, same way we've always looked at it. Red line here is the S&P 500, orange is the 50-day moving average, purple is the 200-day moving average. And what do you notice? Well, our uptrend continues to move higher. This is exactly what I would have expected. Generally, the more time that the market spends above its 200 and its 50-day moving average, the more trend that we get, the more likely that we will trend. The market spends basically 70% of its time in an uptrend. It's only those 30% when it's actually going down that you got to be careful of. So we've got an uptrend and I expect it to continue. And I think there's some good things coming to us potentially in the back half of the year, depending upon how earnings goes. Last week, we got our golden cross, which is the 50-day moving above the 200-day moving average. That should increase the strength of this trend. And we've got the 200-day moving average bent upwards, so it's upward sloping once again. That should be a positive as well. So technically, when I look at the chart, the market looks great. Not just good, but great here, and we're in the middle of a very strong trend. However, there is a negative with the market looking so strong, and the negative is that is empowering Donald Trump to create a little bit more chaos. And where we're seeing chaos is in the tariff discussions, the tariff negotiations, although mostly the negotiations are kind of over-ish, maybe, and in the tariff rates. So here's the Trump tariff rates. In gray is what was announced on April 2nd, and in red is where the tariffs showed up. And if you look at this chart, what you notice is Brazil was supposed to get hit with a 10% tariff. It ended up with a 50% tariff. Canada was supposed to get a 25% tariff. It's now going to get a 35% tariff. Brunei, Japan, Malaysia, all with a 1% higher tariff. Philippines from 17 to 20. So there's quite a few trading partners here that got a worse deal than what was announced on Liberation Day. And even for the quote unquote good deals, the rates came down, but they didn't come down all that much. Basically, what Trump unveiled on April 2nd is what he's doing. There's a little bit of remediation here. There's a little bit of, 31, 25, 44 to 30, 35 to 30. But the pre-tariff economy, the pre-tariff trade system is over. It's not coming back. This is pretty substantial. And one of the reasons why I think this is happening is because you've seen this chart before. This is the Trump first administration. And one of the things that I said was Trump is a chaos agent. He likes to create chaos to advance his agenda. And so if you give Trump the market at an all-time high, I can promise you there's going to be a news event that's going to reverse the direction of the market. And when the market is at the lows and things feel bad and, it feels like Donald Trump is throwing the whole world away, I promise you he's going to come out and do some things to move the market higher. That's just how he operates. And so going into this tariff deadline with the market at an all-time high, I am not surprised that he's playing hardball. I'm not surprised that he is smacking Brazil, Canada, Japan with much stronger tariffs than what was anticipated. And I think if the market continues to go at all-time highs, which I expect it to, I think we're going to see more Trump chaos until he breaks something. So the next news event, the next news panic is somewhere out there, just hasn't showed up in the data yet. Finally, earnings season is about to begin, starting in Tuesday. So next week, we're going to start to hear from the big banks, and that's going to continue through into Johnson & Johnson, Netflix, Taiwan Semi, American Express, Schlumberger, 3M. So we're actually going to get, a pretty good read on the economy for a lot of these companies coming next week. And for my take as to what I'm expecting out of the Q2 earnings season, I think it's going to be an absolute mess because we're going to have Liberation Day, the economy basically, ground to a halt in early April. And then we had the stay of execution that Donald Trump gave us, and then the economy reaccelerated again. I think it's going to be a really tough quarter. Now, that doesn't mean the market's going to go down, but just think about it. I mean, if you're a business, if you're Johnson & Johnson, what are you going to say about the last 3 months? You're going to say, hey, we sold a whole bunch of stuff, then tariffs came on and business went completely flat. And then afterwards, there was a stay of execution and then business started coming back. It's just going to be a messy quarter. So I'm actually going to be looking through the quarter at Q3 guidance. That's what's going to be important. And what I'm most interested in is the potential tariff impacts. Tariffs were never going to show up in April of this year. And in fact, most retailers, they brought a whole bunch of inventory forward. And they told you that tariffs are going to start to show up in Q3 and Q4 of this year. So what I'm going to be looking for is guidance on all of those things, what's coming down the pipe. So what does it all mean? Tariffs meet earnings? Well, with a market at all-time highs, Trump is leaning into tariffs. And I've said this before on the channel, but just to put it on, a very fine point, the pre-tariff economy is gone, the pre-tariff economic system is gone, and probably not coming back. Q2 earnings season is about to begin. I'm expecting a little bit of a mess there. That isn't going to be bad for the market. It's just going to be the reality of how much change there was over the last 3 months. The guidance and perceptions about Q3 will be the most important takeaways, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I really don't care what happened to businesses, during that whipsaw Liberation Day sort of thing. What I'm interested in is what they say Q3 is going to look like, and also what tariffs are going to do to pricing. So there you go. That's tariffs meet earnings. I'll see you next week when we start to dive into earnings season. Take care. Okay, friends, that was the video. Hope you liked it. If you found it informative, good, entertaining, I'd love if you could scroll down here beneath the video and give me a like there. It helps us out with the algorithm. And then if you want to be notified first of anything new that we upload to the channel, if you come over here, click subscribe, you'll be the first to know as soon as we upload anything. Appreciate it. See you soon.